Hey there, welcome back to the pod. Today, I'm going to continue our series on what the Blazers should trade, who they should trade, and what they should trade for. We've already done videos on Jeremy Grant and Malcolm Brogdon. You can go look at our channel and find those videos. Today, we're going to be talking about where Anfernee Simons should be traded and who for. Those three guys we kind of tagged. We've had them tagged for a long time as players that probably need to leave the roster sooner rather than later. Allow the young players to step in the primary roles and sort of lead the franchise forward. Colton, what do you have for Anfernee Simons?
Yeah. So last week we touched on a couple ideas we touched on one from a Hawks fan that, people weren't always, they didn't seem to be a fan of, which I totally understand why. And then there was another trade that was from an outside source, another website, Rip City Project, right? This week we kind of drew them up from me. So be kind to me because we'll see.
Idiot!
We can hash these out if there's something wrong with them. We can talk about value, right? Don't jump at the thumbnail, right? Let's hear the
Do
description
jump at the
behind the
thumbnail.
trade.
We
Jump at the thumbnail,
we
yeah.
want you we want
Click
you to
here.
we want you emotional. Just remember we're hacking your psychology with these titles and
All right. So this one, right? It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple to look at. I think all three of these trades are more simple than what I usually do when I cobble together three or four team trades. And that's because Anthony Simons has a specific market. He's a very talented player. He's a scorer. He's a shooter. He's still young. He's a dunk contest winner, so he's very athletic. He's an exciting player. He doesn't fit with what the Blazers have going forward or their timeline going forward. But he's kind of in that one market where if he's on your team and he's what you need, he could be really good for you. So this value right here, it's pretty straight up. I'm going to say to any Magic fans that watch this, they're probably going to target someone like Malik Monk in free agency right off the bat. They're probably going to try and find a guy that they don't have to trade assets for, but they can get that fits the skill set. And that's why watch for Malik Monk to Orlando, that kind of a player.
they
But if
have cap
swing,
space to
they have
sign a
cap
guy like
space.
him.
Yeah, because I mean, this trade right here is basically slotting Anthony into that cap space. Anthony Black's on there too to cut into some of that. But they're taking on a lot of the cap, as you can see. They're getting 18.2.
Wow, Anthony Black is 6'7".
Yeah, so this might be too steep for Magic fans. They might come in and say, "No way, Anthony Black had a great start to the season." That is true. I'm not a big fan of Jet Howard. I think he was a massive reach. They had two lottery picks last year. One was Anthony Black, one was Jet Howard. Anthony Black is an interesting player. He didn't shoot very well in college. He's kind of like a tweener. I think, he's a point guard, it says here, but he could be a playmaking wing. He shot better than expected from three, but he also shot bad from the free throw line. So was it a hot shooting year? What translates? Usually free throw shooting is what translates, and you have a good shooter if they're a good free throw shooter. So I don't know if that was just a hot shooting year from three or what. So it might be tough to get Anthony Black. But this trade, the Magic had a great season last year, right? They get to keep their whole entire core and add the piece that I think they desperately need, a shooter, a scorer. In the playoffs, it really showed how bad they need a scorer, especially at the guard position. I think Anthony Simons fits perfectly in their starting lineup. He fits next to Jalen Suggs. They got Wagner. They got Paulo Banchero. They even get to keep Wendell Carter Jr., who, I thought about including and making more moves here, which that could be a part of the pieces as well. You could lose one of these assets in this deal if it stands like this. One of these picks or Anthony Black could get removed. But if there's more player movement, it depends. I think look for this deal if Orlando swings and misses on Malik Monk.
Yeah, right off the bat, I feel like it's a good fit for both teams and both players. You're trading offense for defense. Blazers need more defense at the guard position. Magic need more offense. I thought in their playoff series against the Cavs, which went 7 games, and they're pretty close to taking that seventh game. Um, they just lacked a little bit of scoring, particularly at the guard positions, a little bit of shooting. Uh, Wagner had a bad game. Bankero played well, but if they had that second option, bombing threes and able to get to the hoop like Anfernee Simons can, dunk contest winner and 3-point specialist, I feel like he would fit really nicely into their lineup. They don't, I mean, I guess Bankero and Wagner are both kind of ball dominant players, but they don't necessarily have a ball dominant guard. So that might fit in a little bit better. While the Blazers have quite a few ball dominant guards. And that's another reason I think Black fits in well here. I think he's a little bit better off ball, play defense, doesn't necessarily have to have the ball in his hands, which I think is a win for the Blazers. Getting a guy that doesn't need the ball in his hands. They have a lot of those players. And then obviously the picks. Very interesting. Exactly what the Blazers need going forward.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty much all about the picks as the Blazers move forward. We've committed to a strategy, and I think we just have to follow through on it. So yeah, if we could get a guy like Black that might be able to fit in at least temporarily, or that might fill a gap, or that might kind of give us a different look, I'm all for that. But I really think it's about whether the Magic want Anthony and whether they're willing to give up picks, a lot of picks for him. And I think Anthony could be a really good fit. You know, we talk a lot on this podcast about how sometimes fans tend to overvalue their players. And with Anthony, I almost feel like we've gone the other way a little bit, where because we know that he doesn't really fit in, so we're just kind of like looking for ways to get rid of him. But I mean, he's potentially a very good player on a team that's the right fit for him. You know, I mean, he's at least a 22, 23 point a game scorer. He could do better than that in the right situation. Yeah, it's not, this last season was not anybody's chance to shine really the way that the Blazers played. So I mean, I think he'd be a great fit in Orlando, and I think that that haul is totally fair for what Anthony can actually bring to a team. So yeah, I mean, I would do the deal, but I don't think that we're fleecing Orlando with this deal either. Anthony Simons is a really good player. But I want at least a couple first round picks. If we're not getting like 2 first round picks out of it, whether there's players involved or not, I don't think it's a good deal for Anthony.
And before we move on, again, to any Orlando fans or anything like that, you look at these picks, they're not probably going to be top of the line picks. They're first rounders, but one's via Denver. I'll let that speak for itself. Unless Jokic goes down, that pick's not going to be a high pick. And if the Magic are good, like they were this year, this is a 2026 pick from the Magic. So it's not like you're getting 2 lottery picks and Anthony Black for Anthony Simons. I think this is fair value. You're getting firsts and a young player that might not, that might be a better fit with the Magic, and then Anthony Black might be a better fit with the Blazers. So I think it makes sense all around for that one. Moving on, again, trying to find teams that fit Anthony Simons and who are going to want him for a specific skill set that he has, which I think, like you said, he might be undervalued at this point. Doesn't fit for the Blazers. But who do you guys think can help mask Anthony Simons' defensive inefficiencies? Who in the league could play 2-on-1 defense?
Maybe
Well,
some guy who would have to duck to get through any doorway that we could
The
possibly
new
put him
the
in
new
front of.
tallest Frenchman in San Antonio.
yes. So we got here, right? We got Anfernee going over. Devonte Graham is salary, right? You look at the 1 year expiring deal at 12.6 mil. This one's kind of nice because it helps with the cap side of the coin. I think the fit makes perfect sense for someone like San Antonio. I think that Victor can help cover for Anfernee's defensive deficiencies fantastically. He's like the guy in the league that can help with that side of the ball the most. The Spurs get a shooter who will for sure be able to feed if they try and trap Anfernee Simons, which teams do up top on a high pick and roll, Anfernee can find Victor rolling to the rim. They can't take off Anfernee's 3-point shooting and Victor's ability to get to the rim and do whatever the heck he does. So perfect fit for them. It's just a matter of, are they looking for Anfernee? Maybe
Simons
they're
is still
looking.
young too, is another part of this. He fits
Yeah.
the Wimby timeline, especially because it's not going to take long for Wimby to reach his potential, I don't think, or at least be a force in the league. I mean, he's already capable of doing what you said he would need to do to cover for Anthony defensively.
Yeah. And so the Blazers are getting 2 first-round picks here. I protected them top 8. Who knows how protection or pick protections play out. I want to say that the Spurs, because of the DeJounte Murray trade with the Hawks, they have the Hawks by the cojones, right? So they have picks other than their own picks. They have 4 potential first rounders next year. It's a strong draft next year, but you're not going to draft 4 players. They're going to need to start moving some of these. Some of them won't convey this year. One of them's like lottery protected from Charlotte. Charlotte never leaves the lottery, so that pick's probably safe, right? But my point is the Spurs do have picks to play around with extra. So they're not going to be like trading away their only avenue for improvement even after this. They can still make moves. They can still jettison other players and combine other players and send more picks to get another good guy next to Victor. What a great place for them to be in, right? But I think it's a no-brainer. And if they want to, protect the picks more or use different picks, it could be. It could happen like that.
No qualms with your talking about how Simons is a great fit for the Spurs. I think that makes sense for them. Comparing this to the Orlando trade, I like Black's potential. More. I don't think Devonte Graham would probably be a piece on the Blazers. I think Black could, but these picks look like they're have the potential to be better than the Orlando picks. Like you mentioned, the Denver pick probably not going to be super high. So yeah, I mean it has a lot of the elements on here that you're looking for a trade for a rebuilding Blazers team, which is draft picks that could either be used in the draft or flipped in the future for pieces once hopefully the core starts to develop. Yeah, I'd probably take it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this one better because of the draft picks. Because again, it's all about the draft picks for me. The players are like maybe a bonus, but I'm not really expecting that anybody we get in a trade is going to be like our backup point guard of the future because everything is, 3 years away at least, and things are going to change so much between now and then. We just need opportunities to draft well and to build around, our core guys. And in a lot of ways, I feel like with both of these picks, I'm thinking more about how the other team would respond to Anthony as an option. Kind of feel like we're playing used car salesman of what can we do to get you into this Anthony Simons today. But I mean, I do think that he'd be a great fit in San Antonio too, because I mean the Sohan at point guard experiment did not work. I imagine there's a good chance that they're going to draft a point guard this year, but that point guard's gonna need at least a couple of years. They're not gonna draft another
And
Wimby who's
especially if they
basically
draft Topic, he won't even be probably available next season. So
Wait, really
yeah.
quick, what do you guys think about this fit? I know he said he wanted to play point guard. If they draft Stephen Castle and Risha Shea and they get Anthony Simons, I mean, what?
that's a lot of defense there to help Simons out.
That's an amazing offseason of acquiring young, talented players. Castle would be a lockdown defender, projects to be next to Anthony Simons. Risha Shea, is that 3-point wing. Like they could set their whole lineup if it falls their way. I don't think Risha Shea will be there at 4, but I'm just saying, like, they have options. They have a lot of options, and I think Anthony fits them well. Like I said, the picks might be a little different. These are kind of stand-in because they have so many different options. They could want more protection. They could want not 2025, but a different year. They have options, but the picks should be there for this deal. And Devonte Graham's just expiring again after 1 year. Helps with the cap.
Getting to play with someone like Wimby, and yeah, especially if they could draft more talent like Risha Shea or whatever. I mean, that would be such a great situation for Anthony because that guy is a knockdown shooter. You just can't have him as your primary decision maker, I don't think. At least at this point in his career, I don't think he's proven that he's a primary decision maker type player.
Particularly with no defensive help to help cover
Yeah.
those his liability at the defensive end.
But if he can be more of a catch and shoot guy or a move without the ball guy, I mean, he is a lightning knockdown dagger shooter. He would make their team better.
Yeah,
100%.
just to have more ball handlers that are on the team that can play defense would help him a lot because that takes two pressures off of him that he's not
Yeah.
two weaknesses, sort of his ball handling and his defense. If you got Stephen Castle and Wimbenyama, those two guys handle the ball and play defense. That could be a perfect fit for Simons.
100%. This next and last trade, this one was kind of more. I think these two teams that we just talked about are the best fits for Anfernee Simons, and I think both make a lot of sense. It's just a matter of will either one bite. This next one's a little interesting. They're a team that who knows what the hell they're doing. I don't know what the hell they're doing. The front office doesn't know what the hell they're doing, but maybe that means that they might trade for somebody because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
They don't
Uh,
know what the hell they're doing because KD and Kyrie railroaded them several years ago.
yeah, so it's the Brooklyn Nets here. The Nets rubbed me the wrong way when they wouldn't trade Mikal Bridges, everyone's favorite, most overrated player ever, which he had a
He
terrible.
plays all the games though, Colton.
He did not have a good season last season. I tried to tell people this guy's not a number one option. This guy's not, he's good, but he's being vastly overrated. Last year, they turned down a rumored trade that had Anfernee Simons and the number 3 overall pick going for Mikal Bridges. Now, I'm trying to see if they're open to Anfernee Simons any other way. So this one, who knows? But Anfernee Simons, you got Robert Williams going as well. More of salary wiggling around. Robert Williams' health is up and down, but healthy, he's a great piece to add, right? So the Brooklyn Nets are in a spot where they can go and see if Robert Williams' health is there, right? If they're going to keep Bridges, maybe they need to attract more talented players that fit Bridges' timeline, right? Maybe not do whatever the heck they're doing. So I think Anfernee Simons fits well next to Mikal Bridges. He's a great shooter. They work out together in the off season. Fun fact. Have the same trainer, another fun fact. So they're friends. And Robert Williams fits in, like I said, on the Blazers side. The elephant in the room, Ben Simmons. I do not even want him to enter the building. I don't want his
40 million a year, that is wild.
I don't want Ben Simmons to even touch foot on the practice facility. Just send him home. Let him do whatever the heck he wants. He's done. He's retired. I've been telling people do not trade for Ben Simmons. But here we go. He's got 1 year left. Then it's expiring. So that's good for Cap. This one, we got two young players. I don't know if you're going to get both of those guys, but the real prize is Noah Clowney. He looked very, impressive in limited time last year. Nets fans are going to say, heck no, we're not trading Noah Clowney. And to that I say, I don't know what you guys are doing. So you might, right? Like I've said it before, I'll say it again. They're going to say, no, we're not going to trade him. But who knows? You need to get on Mikal Bridges' timeline or trade Mikal Bridges, which they might. And then you're only getting one pick on this one because Noah Clowney is a good young talent. He fits the Blazers very well. And this pick is from Philadelphia. So it's not even touching the Nets' cash of picks and all the stuff they got going on, and then a second rounder.
I'm pretty sure that the Nets fans are going to be coming for us in the comments on this one. It's just the way that it seems to go. But I don't think that they're
Could
necessarily
be.
right. I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying that I know how much they're going to value some of their young talent. And I think that you're right, Colton, that the comeback to that is, well, what are you guys doing? Like what's the goal here? What's your plan? Because it doesn't seem like there is a plan that involves Bridges, Clowney, and the future. Like those are it's two totally separate things. And then Ben Simmons is like a whole other world. I don't know what he's still doing on the team, like, working out, his back's getting better. But it's like even if he came back, how would they actually use him? I mean, he would just totally sink their team
He's
moving into
done.
the future. Yeah, he's done. So anyway, I mean, yeah, I think it's a fair trade. I think, Anthony going there is really, it would be good for them. It would open up some opportunities. He definitely fits with the Mikal Bridges timeline. The question is just, what are they going to do? What are their goals? Are they fully committed to that timeline now? Because if they do, I think this makes sense for them. If they're still thinking about trying to keep so many of their young players and everything, you're definitely going to get some pushback. Um, I would do it under the condition that Ben Simmons never touches never lands in the city of Portland. That's my condition. But I like the pick, and Clowney, big wing. We've been talking about it for years. Let's go. We need it. We need somebody 6'10" who can anchor some defensive plays and maybe even move the ball through the post.
This trade is a lot messier than the first two. A lot of the reason that is because what we talked about, the Nets are in such a bad position, still shaking off the KD, Kyrie, Harden fiasco from a few years ago. They're obviously trying to make some of what they got back for those players work, but they never got enough. They traded all their picks for those guys, in particular Harden, and didn't really get any picks back. They just got like mid-20s role players back. So they're in a bad spot. I don't think it makes sense for them to continue to lean into this rebuild and bring Simons in to play with Bridges. That's not going anywhere. That's not going to be a team that does much. I think that their best move is to blow it up, trade Bridges, um, Cam Johnson. I don't know about Cam Thomas. I don't really think he's their option for the future moving forward either. Might trade him too. The problem is they don't have like any cornerstones on the team for youth moving forward. They probably move Claxton too. So I don't even know who would be playing on their team, and then picks moving forward. They're in a tough spot. Maybe it's best for them. Maybe it makes more sense to not rebuild right now because they're not in control of their picks. Maybe it'd be better to be middling. So yeah, that side is a mess. For the Blazers, I don't really like this trade as much as the other ones. I like the two firsts more than the first and the second. I don't know. I don't know much about Clowney. Maybe he's worth a first round pick, swapping him out for a first round pick. I don't know. But I mean, overall, if looking from the Blazers perspective, I guess I would still probably do the deal. You're getting some picks back, you're getting some youth back. Ben Simmons is obviously just a salary and non-factor as far as the rebuild goes or the talent goes. But I mean, maybe the biggest win here, which sounds so harsh, is just unloading Simons, moving on from him, getting him off the the plans and allowing, the guards of the future to take over. It's tough to say. I like him and he's a good player and all the things we always say, but I mean, our first podcast was basically talking about how Damian Lillard and Anfernee Simons weren't going to be able to work. And we're still in that same position of like, we just need to move on from this guy, give him a fresh start, and allow the Blazers to pick the timeline, pick the youth, really try this rebuild for real.
Yeah,
The
so often with, podcasts like ours where we're discussing players that need to move on, there is like this air of, their deficiencies or their problems. And I don't really think that's the case with Anthony. Like, it's
It's
not that
just fit.
it's just fit and it's timeline. He didn't fit with the Dame timeline, and now he doesn't fit with the Scoot timeline. It's just
And
a
he's
little bit
just
too
not
far apart.
quite good enough to like warrant his own timeline. You know what I mean? He doesn't quite have that ceiling, in particular with his defensive issues.
Yeah. And the Nets have to pick their own timeline too. This is obviously if they're kicking and screaming saying we're keeping Mikal Bridges, well, you don't have the mega assets to get mega stars, but you can get Anthony Simons, which is Mikal Bridges' friend, and he actually provides a lot of what you need as well. He can light it up a lot, I think it fits, but you're right. The better fits were the first two trades we went over first. This is just trying to come up with one more slightly outside the box. And like I said about this before, you might lose, one of the players on there. Maybe Sharp is gone from this deal, or you get a second rounder instead. I don't know, but this one was kind of the outside the box trade. And Nets fans, let's hear it. Let's hear
A lot of
how
times, a
how
lot
I'm
of times,
wrong.
those are the ones that end up happening, though, are the outside of the box trades. Look at Dame to Milwaukee. No one saw that one coming. Sometimes it's shit that you just don't really see coming that ends up happening. I mean, to be honest with you, usually that's the case in the NBA is some GM comes in from out of nowhere and uh shocks everybody. All right,
I
guys,
will.
which of these go ahead, brother.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I will say, if we trade Anthony and don't get at least one first round pick, I'll be pretty disappointed. I think
Yeah.
that's a
I think that's
minimum.
the case with Grant, Brogdon, and Simons is like one first round pick at some point in the future is sort of I mean it would hurt to lose any three of those guys and not get at least that back. All right, guys, which of these trades did you like the best? Let us know in the comments. Let us know if you have any other ideas. Tell Colton how wrong he is and how bad he is at these trades. He really appreciates that. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye.